Now, every year we make New Year's resolutions. Every year. And we do them with great intention. We buy that exercise equipment. We get that membership into the health club. We do all kinds of things that will ensure that we will fulfill our goal. 6 months later, 2 years later, we take a look at that equipment, or we're getting charged every month for a membership and we don't attend the health club. But in the beginning, it seemed really exciting, didn't it? To want to make a resolution and to prepare for that resolution to take place. And it can be disappointing, can't it, as the year goes on? It can be disappointing. We begin to feel bad about ourselves because we couldn't pull it off, or we didn't pull it off. We get angry with ourselves because we've wasted money on all kinds of different tools and things to help us with our goals. And exercise equipment is just one of them. I'm talking much more generally than that. You know that. But the idea is that we set ourselves up a lot of times for failure because we're not really sure of how to go about manifesting our goals. Well, a number of years ago, and I think it's almost 20, I co-wrote a book with my partner Carol Kiefer called Nothing is Too Good to Be True. Right now, it needs to go into an ebook, and it will very shortly. And what is important about it is that it's a pattern. It's a 7-stage creative process. There's a 7-step creative process that is essential to manifestation. And when we get in touch with it, which I'm hoping we will today, I'm going to give an overview of it today, and then over the next weeks we'll get more specific and more particular about how to put these steps into action. But stages of development are very, very important. When we take a look at ourselves, when we look around at nature, we see that plants have to go through a certain nurturing process, a certain gestation process. And it doesn't work when we try to do it any other way. The plant, the particular plant, is what it is. It knows what it needs, and it will respond to the right nurturing step by step by step. And so it is that we respond that way as well. The first step in the 7-step creative process is to free ourselves. Now, it's one thing to say, I'm going to make a change this year, I'm going to do things differently. But if we're playing the same old script to ourselves about who we are, there's very little likelihood the change is going to take place, is there? There's no reason why we can't get anything that we desire. Why? Because we are an idea. Each of us is an idea in God's mind. Each of us is equipped with all of the power that we need to experience life to the fullest. Each of us is equipped with a divine desire, not just for one thing, but the desire is to live and express ourselves to the fullest. Naturally, we want to free ourselves from our old self-concepts in order to realize goals that we have not yet manifested. So what do we do to free ourselves? Well, we need to tell ourselves a different story. Whatever story we've been telling ourselves that hasn't been working, let's step back and take a look at that story. Have we told ourselves that we've made so many mistakes in our lives that we really don't deserve the best? Have we told ourselves that we're stuck in a particular rut and that there are things that are too good to be true? Remember, the title of the book is Nothing is Too Good to Be True. Nothing is too good to be true. Wherever it is that we find limitations in ourselves, we need to begin by freeing ourselves of those old concepts. Whenever we say, I want, I desire to express, I desire to feel, there's something on the other side of it, some voice in our own consciousness that is either giving permission for that or is not giving permission to that. Again, I use the situation with the partner. I want to love and be loved. I want to feel that I'm worthy and deserving. I want somebody in my life who says, I love you and you're special to me. But inside of us, there's a voice that's saying, you're not so special. You have to put something on in order to make people believe you're special, because you're not very lovable. Remember what mom said, remember what dad said, remember what the teacher said at school, remember what your last boss says. You know, you're not exactly lovable as you are, so you have to be very careful what you show to somebody that you want to love you. Have any of you ever experienced something like that? Boy, it's tough. You know, it's a tough message to send out to the universe. On the one hand, I desire my good. On the other hand, I don't really feel worthy of it. So we're caught in the middle of wanting something and believing we can't have it. Number one, free yourself. Free yourself into believing that you are divinely created, that you deserve the best, that you are an idea in God's mind that is manifested in a certain way, just as you are for a certain purpose. That doesn't mean one thing. It doesn't mean that we have a job, we retire from the job, and now we have no purpose. No, we have purpose. We always have purpose. Purpose, that dharma, that reason for living, that God, Spirit, desires to express itself as that which we are. Let us be free to be grateful for that and to know that whatever it is we desire, we open ourselves up to new and more positive ideas about who we are. Second step, know yourself. Know yourself. Self-knowledge is one of the most underrated and yet most powerful gifts that any of us can have. To know ourselves, to understand ourselves, to be okay with ourselves, even though in many ways we might be limited. So when we get into our phase of self-knowledge, we are able to accept areas where we are limited, and if it has something to do with our goal, then we need to do something about it. For example, if we have our sights set on, well, let me use the example. If we have our sights set on going to a particular university and having a really fine education, but we're not so disciplined with our study habits, we got two choices here. Well, actually three, but that denial I don't really put up as a choice. With denial, we could pretend it's not true and go about our business and have a rude awakening later. But we have two choices, basically, if we want to go to a top-of-the-line college and we're not that into studying. Two choices. One, we change our goal, or we change our study habits. When we try to apply ourselves and can't get anything done, that means that there's a part of our self-knowledge that needs to deepen. We need to really accept the fact that we need help in this area. A study partner, a study group. In any 12-step program, when a person is making an effort to change the way they do things, they've got a sponsor. They've got somebody there that's saying, remember, you have a tendency to drink. I want to remind you that you have that tendency, but I also want to remind you that you have the power to lift yourself from that. And so with self-knowledge, we begin to accept that if we really, really want something to happen, we're going to have to apply ourselves in a different way based on what we know about ourselves. And remember, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's often a sign of strength. So we free ourselves, we know ourselves, then we dedicate ourselves. Once we are free to believe that we can experience that which is for our highest good, once we know what it is we're going to have to adjust within ourselves to make that happen, now we dedicate ourselves to that project. We were going to call that chapter Commit Yourself, but it had so many other implications that we decided to find another word. But it is about making a commitment. It is about saying, this is now my goal, based on prayer, based on meditation, based on the freedom to choose, based on the self-knowledge of who I am. Now we dedicate ourselves to saying, this is what I want to experience. This is where I'm going to spend my time. This is where I'm going to put my thoughts. What are my thoughts regarding this? Are they still negative? Are they still limited? We need to go into more meditation, more prayer. We need to practice how to dedicate ourselves, how to make that commitment to say, this is the direction in which I'm going. Remember, we've been going another direction for a long time. And that other direction is so familiar, even if it's negative, at least it's familiar. And we have to let go of the belief that just because something is familiar, that it's for our highest good. So, free ourselves, know ourselves, dedicate ourselves. The fourth step is prepare ourselves. We need to prepare for what it is that we have dedicated ourselves to do. It's easy to take the example of being in school, because if you want to be, for example, a veterinarian, don't sign up for 10 music courses. You see, because it's counterproductive. If you want to be a veterinarian, if you know that you want to take care of animals, if you know that you want to dedicate your life to being of help to animals, then you begin to prepare wherever you are, whatever age you are, whatever station in life you are. Move those other things that don't have anything to do with your goal out of the way and prepare for what you want. Is sitting around talking about an operation that we had 5 or 10 years ago for an hour or two, is that bringing us closer to our goal? Prepare ourselves. Number 1, free yourself. Number 2, know yourself. Number 3, dedicate yourself. Number 4, prepare yourself. Number 5, nurture yourself. Well, I can tell you that I've been in experiences before where I have done the first 4 things. I freed myself, I knew myself, I dedicated myself, and I prepared myself into exhaustion. I mean, it got to the point where I was so dedicated and so interested in preparing myself for what I wanted to do that I went to school full-time and I was working full-time, and I had to park on the side of the road occasionally to close my eyes because I just couldn't stay awake. Nurture yourself is a very important part of this process, which is not the same as wasting time. Nurture yourself means, number 1, getting enough rest. Number 2, getting enough exercise. Number 3, taking the right kind of supplements, the right kind of diet, taking care of your body, loving your body, treating your body as the valuable spiritual tool that it is for getting what's done. Another part of nurturing yourself that's less obvious but equally important is surrounding yourself with people who believe that you can do what you're doing. So many ways of nurturing ourselves, but most importantly, nurture ourselves physically, nurture ourselves emotionally by having that support, and intellectually by knowing that what we are doing, continuing to affirm that what we are doing is bringing us to our highest good. So we free ourselves, know ourselves, dedicate ourselves, prepare ourselves, nurture ourselves, and then we express. We express ourselves. We are designed to be creative. We work from mind to idea to manifestation. That is what we do. We're creative beings. That's what it means to be made in the image and likeness of spirit. We are creative beings. That begins in mind, it ends in manifestation. And so there is a time in our creative process when we're doing it. We're actually doing it. We're doing what it is that we set out to do. And there is nothing more therapeutic than actually doing it. There are so many months and years that you can sit in a chair taking notes. There are so many months and years that we can prepare for something, and there are so many months and years that we can, have an idea and want to see it manifested before it becomes frustrating not to. And I do believe with all my heart that a lot of our digestive issues and a lot of our nervous tension issues come from not being able to give, not being able to express for one reason or another that which is powerful and meaningful to us. So express ourselves is a dynamic part of the creative process, and we don't have to wait until we get a diploma in order to do that. We don't have to wait until the course is over in order to do that, but we can express to the level that we can. Now that's only 6 steps. What's the 7th step? Enjoy. Enjoy yourself. There is an unfortunate habit among many of us who are spiritual beings having a human experience, and that is the minute we finish doing something, we got to start doing something else. It's like, and I'm one of those people, I have been plagued for most of my life and have been working consciously with this for at least 15 years, of not having to be a manifestation machine. Believing that I'm worth more than just something I have done. So in other words, my habit in the past was rushing toward this goal, accomplishing this goal, saying thank you, having about 12 minutes of comfort, and then starting again going, oh, what else do I have to do? I have to do something else. I have to do something else. I have to do something else. People say, did you enjoy doing it? And I will respond by saying I enjoyed having done it, because the pressure of doing it was so strong that I didn't have time to enjoy it. It wasn't about enjoying it. Did you enjoy being in the theater? I really couldn't say. I enjoyed having been. Oh yes, I definitely enjoy having been. And there were times, overwhelming times of joy that spontaneously occurred when I wasn't that self-conscious or worried about how I was doing, But it is extremely important, and that's why we put this chapter in the book, to enjoy what it is that we're doing, every moment of what we're doing while we're doing it. There's something special about preparing. There's something special about setting up. There's something special about beginning. For me, it was always boring setting up, boring beginning, boring process, boring, coming close to the end, now I'm in, now I've done it. Now what should I do? For someone like me, we need to take more time to enjoy what we've accomplished and to enjoy the process. 2012 is a different kind of year, because we have evolved to the place where we know who we are, we know what some of the pitfalls are, we know what it is we want, we know what it is that we're willing to do to manifest it, and we also know that the living spirit of truth will boost us and move us through every experience that we have, because every part of manifesting our goal, whether it's something positive or something we think is negative, is part of our preparation. We've got to learn to accept that. As we open ourselves up to feeling lovable and loved, to feeling necessary and important. We know that somewhere along the way we are in this process of freeing ourselves, knowing ourselves, dedicating ourselves, preparing ourselves, nurturing ourselves, expressing ourselves, and enjoying ourselves.